We'll pick it up where we left off yesterday on Daf Lamed Vav Lamed Beis, about 2/3 of the way down, a little bit more than half the way down. And we're talking about Ashes Potiphar and how she organized that they would be together, she and Yosef, on a day when no one was around. Vatifeseu bebigdo, lemar shichva yimi, so she grabs onto his garment. Be'osa shah. At that moment, apparently Yosef was about to commit a sin. The image of his father appeared to him in a window, and Omar lo, and Yaakov turns to Yosef and he says, "Asidim achecha sheikosvel avnei ephod v'tabedem." Your name will also be engraved on the Avnei Ephod, the Avnei Shoam. Now, if you get involved in this act of immorality, then your name will be removed. V'tikari roa zonos. You'll be called a shepherd of zonos. The Chsiv, as the Pasuk in Mishlei says, roa zonos ya'abed hon. And hon is a person's reputation. You'll lose your reputation. And immediately when Yosef heard the words of Yaakov, Miyad Vateshev Be'eson Kashto, this is part of the bracha that Yaakov, at the end of Chumash Bereishis Parshas Vayechi, bestows upon Yosef. And what does this mean? Vateshev Be'eson Kashto. We're talking about his bow, and his bow sort of like goes down. Om Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Meir Shava Sheshava Kashto Li'esono. This is a reference to the male organ, which is called a bow because it shoots out sperm, and it went down. Vayafozu zroi yodov, and the pasuk also from the brachos of Yaakov, and we interpret this to mean that Noatz Yosef Bekaka, Yosef looked for a way of diverting his attention and sort of bringing upon himself pain so that his desire would cool off, so to speak. And therefore, Noatz Yodav Bekarka, V'yotza Shichva Zeremi Bein Tzipornei Yodov. So he digs his 10 fingers into the ground. That's very painful. And the Shichva Zer goes out from the nails of his fingers, of his 10 fingers. Here we have Machlokes in the Mefarshim whether we should take this literally or it's just a hyperbole. But if we take it literally, like the Ben Ish Chai, then we have to assume it's something miraculous. And then the pasuk continues, Midei Avir Yaakov, Mishom Roa Even Yisrael, Mi Garam Lo Sheichakek Al Avnei Ephod El Avir Yaakov. So at the end of the day, what clinched Yosef's being engraved on the Avnei Ephod? It was the abirus, the strength of his father Jacob. And Yosef, as we know, was a Talmud of his father Yaakov. And Yaakov's impact on Yosef at this particular moment is what saved Yosef from falling and becoming what we called before Roa Zonos. Mishom Roa Even Yisrael. But on the contrary, through Yaakov's impact and influence on Yosef, he became an Even Yisrael, Roa Yisrael. He was a Roa. He could have been a Chas V'Shalom Roa Zonos. Instead, he became a Roa Yisrael. Zocher and Asa Roa Yisrael. Shenema Roa Yisrael Hazi Poskin Tilim Hazina Noheg Katzon Yosef. So Yosef is considered like a roa who's manig his son. And this way, David HaMelech calls out to Klal Yisrael as the sheep of Yosef. And we learn from this that Yosef is considered the roa Yisrael. Tanya, we learned in the Brisa, if not for the mice of Ashes Potiphar, roa Yosef lotzis mimenu yud bei shvatim, Kiderech sheyatzu miyakov of the pasuk compares Yosef to Yaakov, and therefore, just like Yaakov had 12 shvatim, Yosef was initially meant or destined to produce 12 Shvatim. Shenemar Eila told us Yaakov, Yosef. Elo sheyotze shechvazer mibein tzipornei yodo, because he had a certain aroused passion, so the shechvazer was there, and his body came out of his hand. His afal pichein yotze Binyamin achiv. Nevertheless, he did sort of vicariously have those extra 10 children. Why? Because his brother Binyamin had 10 children. The kulam nikru al shmo. And all of these 10 children were called on the name of his brother, Shenemar. Ubnei Binyamin, Bela, Vecher, Ashbel, Gera, Venaman, Achi, Varosh, Mupim, Mechupim, Veor. Bela, that's something to do with Yosef. Shenivla Bena Umos, that he was already, so to speak, swallowed up by the Mitzrim in a sociological sense. He was sold to Mitzrayim, and he became, so to speak, part of that society that's called Bela. V'becher, Bechar li'imo hoya. He was the firstborn to his mother Rachel. I'm not sure exactly why Yosef gets that name. I don't know if it's Binyamin who's sort of suffering by the fact that he's not the Bechor, or maybe he's praising and extolling Yosef because he is the Bechor. The Ashbel, Sheshvo, he was captive, Kel, by God, sent into the Umos. So once again, this is sort of an expression of Binyamin's kind of suffering, if you will, or in this case, his brother's Yosef's suffering. Gera Shegarbach Sanios, that he lived in Mitzrayim in a foreign land, like when you're in a hotel or a motel, you're like a foreigner there. V'naman shayinoyim biyoser, he was very pleasant. It seems that everybody loved him wherever he went. Obviously, he was very cruel to his brothers, but that was part of the plan. Achi Vagosh. Achiu, he's my brother. We have the same mother. But Rashi, he is my leader. I look up to him. Mupim v'chupim. Mupim is, okay, here we have different interpretations, but according to one interpretation, his pair, so Mupim is referring to his pair, but it's in plural, Kipiv Shal Yaakov. In other words, all the Torah of Yaakov was transmitted verbally to Yosef. V'chupim, and here Binyamin is crying out over the fact that he was separated from his brother Yosef for such a long time. Shehulo Rav Chupasim Ani Lo Risi. He did not attend my wedding. I didn't attend his wedding. Ve'erd, which is the last of the 10 names, is Sheyarad Lebein Umos Halomim Kedim Yamri Vard Shepanov Domim Levered. So either it's the fact that he went down to be amongst the nations, or that Yosef's countenance shined like a rose. Amar Chia bar Amma Rab Yochanan b'Shosh Amar Lo Paro Yosef uBiladecha Yorim Ishes Yado. Paro had upgraded the status of Yosef. Amar it's Tanigne Paro, the astrologers of Paro. These were the Chachamim that saw in the stars whatever they saw. Eved shalakacho rabba b'esrim kesef tamshi leu aleinu. Could it possibly be that a slave that was purchased with 20 kesef would now become our ruler? And Amalahem, right? So they were claiming that according to the law of the land, an Eved cannot become a melech. So Paro responded, Ginune Malchus ani roebo. I see some sort of simonim or gvanim of Malchus, of Gvura, Chachma, Yofi. He's got all the elements that it takes to be to be a leader. He was sold as an Eved. Okay, Shalom did. Amru lo, the Chacham said to him, Cain, if he has all the Simoni Malchus, then you're Devashim Lashon. Anyone who is a king must know all 70 languages. Ba Gavriel, V'limdo Shivim Lashon. And Gavriel taught Yosef 70 languages. But Lo Avika Gomer. Yosef was not successful in learning 70 languages. Shenemar Edus be Yosef. So you see the word Yosef here, there's an additional hey, which is a letter taken from the name of Hashem. And by virtue of the fact that an extra hey was added to the name Yosef when he went to be Molech al Mitzrayim, therefore, afilu sfas loshan asher lo yoda shama veheven es loshan. As a result of the added hey, he was able to understand all 70 languages. Ula mochar, and the day after Gavriel taught Yosef 70 languages, called lishna dishtoi paro bahadi ahadole. Whenever Paro would speak to Yosef in a certain language and address him in one of the 70 languages, then Yosef would respond to him, indicating that he understood the language. After Paro finished his presentation of 70 languages, Ishtoi Iu V'Lashon HaKodesh, Yosef responded by speaking the holy tongue, and Paro did not understand it. Paro said to Yosef, Agmere V'Lo Gomer, teach me Lashon Kodesh. And Yosef taught it to him, but Paro did not successfully learn the language, maybe because it's hard for a guy to learn Lashon Kodesh. So Paro said to Yosef, Shtabali de lo magali. So I want a shvua from you and an oath that commits you that you won't reveal and embarrass me that there's a language that I don't know. Shtabalo, and Yosef took the oath. Ki Omar Le, now this is going to sort of bounce back here because when Yosef said to Paro, I want to go and bury my father in Eretz Canaan, and Yosef says to Paro, Ovish Biani, Lamar, and my father imposed the shvu on me. So Paro said to Yosef, go be shol on your shvu, get a heter chachamim, because as long as Yaakov was alive, the Nile River was blessed. And apparently, after Yaakov's death, it was very important for Yaakov to remain in Mitzrayim, even after his death. And Paro was afraid that if they took the body of Yaakov out of Mitzrayim, then there would no longer be a bracha in the Memi Mitzrayim. So Yosef sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? How do you say, what's the word in English when you threaten somebody that if he doesn't, you blackmail him? Oh, that was the word I needed. Right, so Yosef is now blackmailing Paro. He says, look, Veshtili liadidach. You know what? You want me to be shol on my neder, on my shvuot, that I committed myself to bring my father up to Eretz Canaan, then I can also be shol on my oath that I took to you that I wouldn't reveal the embarrassing news that there's a language you don't know. V'yafagav delo nichale, even though it was not in Paro's best interest to allow Yaakov's body to be transported out of the land of Mitzrayim, Omalei aleu kvar safifa kasher shbiyah. Now, we had discussed earlier that Yehuda, as opposed to Yosef, was Makari Shem Shemayim B'far Hesia. Yehuda Mai, what's the story? The Sanya, Rabbi Meir Omer, Sha'omdu Yisrael al Ayam, Hayushvatim Menatzchim. There was a tremendous debate here amongst the Zem Zeh, one Shevet and another, Zelmer, Ani Yorei Tchila Yam. Each one wanted to be the first to volunteer to go down to the Yam. Zomer Ani Yorei Tchila Yam.